तबीब की आमद, रसूल की आमद, हुजूर की आमद, मक्की की आमद, मदनी की आमद, अरबी की आमद, करशी की आमद, हाशमी की आमद, तलबी की आमद, सुल्तान की आमद, रीशा की आमद, नबी की आमद, सय्यद की आमद, तय्यब की आमद, जय्यद की आमद, तय्यब की आमद, ताहिर की आमद, नासिर की आमद, नासिर की आमद, आमीन की आमद, आमीन की आमद, जाहिर की आमद, बातिन की आमद, हामी की आमद, नजीर की आमद, आका की विलादत, मौला की विलादत, मलजा की विलादत, माँ बाप की विलादत, आका की विलादत, मौला की विलादत, दादा की आमद, आका की आमद, सरवर की आमद, अजमत की आमद. Marhaba, Ya Mustafa, the title of the recording, Amin Atari, and a double play from this artist, Amin Atari, on your breakfast rush. The first one, Marhaba Makki Madani.
So people were rubbing their eyes.
Right.
And still trying to find their way into the day. You
right.
definitely woke them up the correct way.
Nice. I like to hear that. Good. Welcome. If you're watching the video right now, hello. Assalamu alaikum. We're live on Facebook and on YouTube at the moment. We've got Senior Forensic Investigator Calvin Rafadi, who's very graciously accepted to be on camera this part of the morning. Calvin's gone, done and dusted. He's checked his makeup. He's done everything sorted out. Hi, Calvin. I see him there as well. So the South African Police Service says it's intensifying efforts to address the country's escalating extortion crisis by seeking broader collaboration with various entities and pushing for tighter legislation. So speaking to Parliament on September 3rd, Police Minister Senzo Ngunu emphasized the alarming spread of extortion-related crimes, which now extend beyond large businesses and construction projects to include personal and vulnerable targets. So as I mentioned earlier, joining us this morning to discuss this further is Senior Forensic Investigator, no stranger to the show, Calvin Rafadi. Good morning. Welcome to the Breakfast Rush.
Good morning. I like the makeup part. I did my makeup, indeed.
Before leaving home, I had to make sure we got the beard, everything lined up. But anyway, Calvin, by the looks of things, it seems like extortion has evolved into something that law cannot contain. Why do you think we're witnessing such an increase?
Yeah, let me first take this opportunity to say, from my point of view, is that the extortion and construction mafia has been an ongoing thing for quite a number of years, and we now applaud the media for bringing this awareness forward, because vulnerable people are affected. Young kids are recruited as young as 14 now to join this particular, I call it a cult, by the way. It's a cult. They are big fishes, and I'm happy that the media is now covering all of this, so that if we root out the big fishes, and then the recruitment will stop, and then we can eradicate this particular crime. But like you said on your intro, that the Minister of Police has visited the Parliament so that the laws can be amended. And part of that is that we've seen that many of these criminals, they are arrested and then they are released on bail. Some come out on early parole issues, and then they come back and recruit and continue with this crime. So, but in essence, to summarize all of this, extortion and construction mafia is more like a jail thing. Why I'm saying that? Numbered gang, they live on extorting, and they still continue to do that, and even controlling the people that work also for them outside of prison and whilst they are in prison. That's why we get very worried that when cell phones are being taken from prisoners, and they are not taken for downloading. If you take those cell phones for downloading, you'll understand who are the big bosses even in prison, controlling the guys outside to commit this particular crimes.
Mhm. Now, we've seen that extortion mafias are particularly prevalent in certain regions, such as the Western Cape and KwaZulu-Natal. How do these criminal groups operate?
Yeah, like I said, it has been an ongoing crime for quite a long time. Let's start with the Western Cape. We've seen in the underworld where even dealerships, for instance, nightclubs, brothels, even big business guys, they pay certain extortion of the so-called protection fee. And then maybe just on a Friday, you see bouncers there with the big bosses hanging around drinking coffee. So it has been an ongoing thing for quite some time. They even recruit young kids to even fight for their turfs. But as long as you are protected by a certain underworld, they must be seen at least once a week in your shop, and then you are protected. Then with Eastern Cape, now they even recruit kids even at school. And, we've got the groups called Amalainere, we've got Amapara, but it's more about recruit, and our youth are unemployed. But that doesn't give the reason why they should do such horrible, horrific crimes. And then they are under the influence of drugs, and they are high on alcohol as well. Alcohol abuse, for
Alcohol abuse. Absolutely. Now, Minister Mkunu said that the police had a strategy in place to curb extortionists, including working with private security. Do you feel that his proposed strategies will yield positive results?
Yeah, look, working with private securities and even the communities at large, because communities, they've got information and they fear to bring this information forward. I think they need to look into partnering with private security, but SERA need to come on board and, have certain legislation that will also, regulate private securities. Because we've seen that many of these so-called construction mafias, they move around with big bouncers without a name tag, without any uniform or that badge that is hanging out, carrying rifle guns. We don't know whether are they permitted to do that when they go and extort money from this particular clients. And, they need to regulate that paying a security company, you pay in a bank account because they are audited. Paying those security companies, we need to find out, are those guns legal or illegal that they are carrying around? Are those South African citizens, or are they just asylum, carrying hold into their passport?
Yeah.
Mhm. Now, yesterday, a majority of us was shocked when 4 police officers were arrested for extortion in Phoenix. They wanted 100,000 Rand to return cigarettes seized from a shop owner. What do you make of this?
Yeah, myself, I was not shocked. We experience a lot of such, especially when it comes to counterfeit goods. And that's why we always say to the police that whenever you go and conduct such raids, have all the stakeholders, like your SARS customs, because of should you come to that scene, only SARS can quantify that those cigarettes are legal or illegal, for the reason being that other cigarettes, they are in transit. So it's a bond to bond certificate that the owner of those cigarettes will be having. But at the same time, you need a search warrant. So operations that are bogus, police bounce in, and then by luck, most people, they end up paying them because they fear for their life. So it's a crime that it needs to be rooted out. That is done by rotten police, and it's everywhere, by the way. So police need to raid with a search warrant or with all relevant stakeholders, like I said, with SARS customs.
Indeed. Final question for this morning, Calvin RAFADI. Victims face difficulties when reporting extortion due to fear and intimidation. Do you think initiatives such as toll-free hotlines will assist in protecting people who report perpetrators?
Yeah, so far we heard from the Ministry of the Police that is not yielding good results because they are hoax calls that they received, a lot of them, in exchange of information. But it's not yielding that much result as yet. We don't know going forward. But what we can remind our police is that when you deal with organized crime, sometimes you don't even wait for a complaint to give you a so-called A1 complainant statement. Just by identify what we call a person of interest, you can still open an inquiry and investigate that particular criminal. And once there's a prima facie case, you can now register a case and arrest those particular criminals under even the Poker Act, Prevention of Organized Crime. So you don't have to always wait for a complainant. As long as a person of interest is identified, you register an inquiry, then you investigate. And also just to highlight something, because I realize there's an outcry that Business Forum, they say they are the ones who are extorting. No. These criminals, they come under an illegal business forum. So they make sure as if they come as a business forum, but those are illegal. But in exchange of wanting a project or exchange of labor issues, hiring some of their members, no, they demand cash upfront of the dividend, which is the 30%.
Indeed. Calvin, I want to thank you for making time for us this morning, as you always do, and bringing valuable information to our listeners. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Same to you.
There you go. You've seen him on television. Now you've seen him here on the Breakfast Rush as well. Senior forensic investigator Calvin RAFADI, no stranger to the Breakfast Rush, is bringing his expert view and opinion on the subject at hand. Obviously, something that us here in South Africa, society needing to deal with among everything else that we got to deal with. These extortion syndicates, and Calvin now bringing to the fore that youngsters, teenagers, also involved in this sort of crime. Now, if you've been watching the video, thank you very much for doing that. We're going to end this video in a moment, and then the next video that kicks in will be the one where you can quite possibly get your name on a list of folks that have been participants because you want to win a PS5.
The Breakfast Rush Main News Bulletin.
Making news at 7, former KwaZulu-Natal Treasury MEC Peggy Nkonyeni's office